You don't talk much. You don't argue very often. You don't ask for attention. And yet, you feel tired. Not the kind of tired a good night's sleep fixes. Not the kind that comes from being too busy. It's a deeper kind of exhaustion, a quiet heaviness that sticks with you, even on calm days. Maybe it shows up in small ways, a slow breath out after a simple conversation, wanting to lie down, even though nothing really happened, a tight, heavy feeling in your chest you can't quite explain. You look around and think, other people are doing more than I am. Other people seem fine, so why does everything feel so heavy inside me? From the outside, people might describe you as calm, reserved, easygoing. You don't complain much. You listen more than you talk. You tend to keep things to yourself. You're often the one quietly nodding along, the one giving people space, the one who makes things easier for everyone else. But inside, something feels worn down all the time. You wake up already tired. Small interactions leave you feeling drained. Even being alone doesn't always feel restful anymore. You notice it after moments that seem harmless. A quick conversation, a quiet meeting, a short exchange that somehow sticks with you longer than it should. And sometimes you catch yourself thinking, why am I so exhausted when I'm not even doing that much? That thought slowly turns into self-doubt. You start wondering if something's wrong with you, if you're just weak, if you're making a big deal out of nothing. You tell yourself you shouldn't feel this way, that you don't really have a reason to be tired, that other people have it worse. But what you're feeling has a reason, and it's more common than you realize. Being quiet doesn't mean your mind is at rest. A lot of people assume quiet equals calm, but psychologically, those two things aren't the same. Calm is when your nervous system feels safe. Quiet, for some people, is just the lack of noise, not the lack of effort. Many quiet people live with constant inner awareness. They pick up on tone. They read between the lines. They feel shifts in the room before anyone says a word. Your mind is always watching, processing, adjusting. You may not say what you're thinking, but you're still carrying it. You may not show every emotion, but you still take it in. Your inner world stays busy, even when the outside looks still. Thoughts keep looping, meanings get analyzed, possible outcomes get weighed. Over time, that creates mental exhaustion, not because you're doing too much on the outside, but because you're doing so much on the inside. Psychology shows that emotional suppression holding back needs, reactions, or boundary stakes real energy. Every time you stay quiet, instead of explaining yourself, every time you swallow a feeling just to keep the peace, your nervous system has to work a little harder. Your body stays ready, your mind stays alert, your emotions stay bottled up instead of released, and over time, it adds up. You might be the person others come to vent to, the one who gets it, the one who stays steady when everyone else is falling apart. You know how to listen without cutting in. You know how to soften your reactions. You know how to make people feel at ease. But who takes care of your emotions? Who gives you space to unload what you're carrying? A lot of quiet people grow up learning that being easy keeps them safe. That not taking up space avoids conflict. That staying quiet means staying strong. Maybe you learned early how to read the room. Maybe you learned your needs came second. Maybe you learned that being low maintenance earned approval, but strength without release slowly turns into exhaustion, and that tiredness doesn't hit all at once. It sneaks in, so slowly that you barely notice it, until it feels constant. Another reason quiet people feel drained is emotional empathy. When you're naturally observant, your brain picks up emotional signals automatically. You feel tension even when no one talks about it. You notice discomfort in tiny pauses. You catch changes other people miss. A slight shift in tone, a late reply, a silence that feels heavier than words. Your brain treats all of that as information it needs to process. And constant processing without expression keeps your nervous system on high alert. Your body stays braced, even when there's no real danger. That means your body rarely fully relaxes. Even when you're resting, your system is still scanning, thinking, adjusting. You might be lying down, but your mind is still on. You might be quiet, but your nervous system is busy. That's why this kind of exhaustion feels so confusing. You're not overwhelmed by noise. You're overwhelmed by awareness. Feeling drained doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're carrying more than you're letting out. Silence isn't the problem. Unreleased weight is. You don't need to become louder to heal. You don't need to change who you are. You don't need to force yourself into a personality that doesn't feel natural. But you do need places where being quiet doesn't take effort. Spaces where you don't have to watch yourself. Moments where you don't have to be the understanding one. Relationships where your silence isn't something you owe. Places where you can just exist without holding emotional balance for everyone else. Rest isn't only about sleep, it's about permission. Permission to feel without explaining. Permission to take up emotional space. Permission to lower your guard. A lot of quiet people confuse endurance with strength. They keep going. They keep holding it together. They keep adjusting until one day, the tiredness feels permanent. But exhaustion isn't a sign you're failing. It's a message. Your mind and body are asking for balance, not a personality change. They're asking for softness toward yourself, for moments where nothing is expected of you, for places where your awareness can finally settle, for permission to be quiet without being on edge. And when that softness shows up, the tiredness doesn't disappear overnight, but it starts to loosen, slowly, gently, the same way it showed up.